much for coming to the candidate forum tonight here at for the town of Star Valley Ranch. My name is Duke Dance. I work at SBI Media in Afton, and the town has reached out to me and asked me to help with this forum tonight. So my job is simply to ask the questions to kind of guide us through this thing. We're going to do our best to keep this to an hour tonight, and we'll try and keep this plugging right along the best that we can. How this will work is we have a series of questions that we'll start with tonight that have been predetermined and pre-selected and already given to the candidates for them to review and prepare for. These questions were submitted to Councilman Ellis earlier previously based on suggestions from the community, from residents of the town, and then we compile those into our questions tonight to give to our candidates. We will have some time at the end for you to submit questions, both for those that are here in person and those that are watching on YouTube. How we're going to do that is just have you text in those questions to me. And then as we're going through our forum tonight, I'll be able to review those questions and then ask those at the end so that we're not trying to pass around a microphone, raise hands, and draw out papers, all that kind of thing. We'll just text them into me. So I'll give you that phone number now, and you can text those in whenever you want, and I'll give it to you again later on. But that number is 307-203-4637. 203-4637. And those will come to me right here on my laptop, so as we're going through tonight, I'll just pull them up and start compiling those and try and get those to the end. We have 3 candidates tonight running for city council, and we have 2 seats available. So 3 candidates, 2 seats, it's a 4-year term, and 2 candidates, of course, for mayor, and that's a single seat, of course, as well. So each candidate will be asked a question. We don't have any candidate-specific questions tonight. No just council, no just mayor. We figured the issues involve everybody, so we're going to ask everybody all the questions. And I think that's pretty much the basis of the instructions. So, any questions from the candidates? Okay. No. I think we'll just jump right into it. Normally, it's easy to start at the end of the table, so I'm going to switch it up and start in the middle. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Okay, Kirsten Merrill, we're going to start with you on the very first question, and then what we'll do is we'll just go down the line. Mr. Bailey, we'll go to you next, and then down the line and back around and through, and then with each question, we'll rotate who starts first. So everyone will have a chance to go first and last as well. Before we get to the first question though, I did mention the timing. So 2 minutes, 2-minute time limit. Councilman Ellis is going to be the timer, and so he'll give you a warning when you hit your 1 minute, he'll give you a warning at 30 seconds, and his phone will go off when you hit your time is up, and when your time is up, you better wrap up quick and we'll just move on. So that's how that's going to work. We're going to start with a 2-minute time limit at first, and then just see how this progresses tonight. And if we need to, we'll cut it down to a minute per response as we get going. So right out of the gate, we'll just give you a chance to do some opening statements and tell us about yourself and why you're running for the office. So Kirsten, we'll start with you and your opening statement. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Kirsten Merrill. I've lived here on the ranch going on 4 years now. I've really enjoyed getting involved with the town and the Economic Development Board, also with the steering committee with our vision and mission statement, which really opened my eyes to where we may go as a town in the future. So I want to be a big part of that. So that's why I'm running for town council.
Okay. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Don Bailey, and I'm running for the office of mayor. My wife, Judy, and I moved to the town of Star Valley Ranch in 2003. I'm currently a town councilman. I was elected in 2018. I started my term with the town on the Planning and Zoning Board in 2010. During my time as councilman, I've been heavily involved in the updating and writing of new ordinances, such as the short-term rental and the nuisance ordinance. And I know roads are a concern for many people. And as mayor, with the council, town engineer, the town road department, I will develop a road plan and bring it to the citizens for their review. We need funding to upgrade our roads. I have some ideas on funding. I've talked to people about this funding, and before we do anything, I will also bring that to the citizens for their approval. The water projects, there's not many left, but we will make it a concentrated effort to get as many finished as we can. There's a water project, we're seeking funding for a project on Vista that goes up to Prater Canyon. With the funding complete and the pipeline complete, we will be able to then do road repairs, needed upgrades on Vista and Vista East. And I will also be a very fiscal responsible mayor. In budgeting, we will analyze purpose and needs, and we will look at everything closely. In communications, my door will always be open to everyone. I will get information to the council and to the citizens, the residents, as fast as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, and Mayor Myers.
Okay, my name is Kathleen Byers, and I'm here today to ask you to re-elect me to be your mayor. I spent my entire career managing people, anywhere from 20 to 200, and at one point 8 different states. When I retired in 2010, we built a house here in Star Valley Ranch, and we absolutely love it here. I was on the town council for 2 years, and now I've had 2 years as mayor. I have an excellent working relationship with the county leaders and the state leaders. And as mayor, I currently serve on the Lincoln County Economic Development Board and the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Board. Under my leadership, the last 8 years, we've accomplished a great deal, but I made a commitment on day one that I would finish the water. And as Mr. Sidaway and I laughed, initially I thought it was going to be 3 years, and now we still have probably 3 or 4 years left to go to finish it, but we're so close. And I would like to be a part of that. I've chip sealed or asphalt up at least 15 miles of road. We've fixed a lot of cul-de-sacs and done quite a few things in that. We purchased a town hall building. We have a new mail center that will hold over 2,000 boxes, which is more than what we need for our community. That gives everyone a mailbox on every lot. I continue to support Firewise, and during my term, we became the first U.S. Firewise community in Wyoming. Added several miles of trails, the dog park, and the community garden. And the biggest thing is trying to modernize our communication. One of the things I hear quite often is that our communication is not as good as people would like. We do have express bill pay now, which we didn't have prior. You can pay your water bill, get your license, get your mailbox, do any kind of donations. There's many things you can do with that. Facebook, a newsletter, email, mail center, information areas, iWorks, which is a new program that we'll be using for building permits and several other things. And the latest is Text My Go, which a lot of people use this weekend. Thank you very much.
And let's see, Ms. Rock.
Here we go, technology. Hey, good evening. I'm so glad all of you could be here. My name is Regina Rock. I go by Rue, so those of you that know me as Rue. My husband Chris and I bought our home in Star Valley Ranch in 2009, and we moved here full time. We live here year-round since 2017. We really love living here in Star Valley Ranch. That's one of the reasons I'm interested in being one of your town council members. Personally, I have a daughter, 2 stepdaughters, and 5 grandkids. Myself, I grew up as a military brat. My dad was Navy, and so we lived all over the place. As an adult, I became a United States Marine, and my time in the Marine Corps also had me traveling from coast to coast. So I've lived everywhere from Virginia to Hawaii, Florida to Texas to Ohio, and lots of states in between. The good thing about that is I got a chance to see a lot of different parts of the country, learn a lot about people, and appreciate their perspectives. And I found that most people's perspective comes from where they sit and where they come from. Professionally, I have over 20 years of project management and cost analysis experience for the federal government. My involvement with the town started when I helped with the community garden, and then I'm currently a member of the Natural Resources Board. I'm running for town council because I want to ensure that going forward, the thing that I love about Star Valley Ranch stays as I'd like it to be, which is that we're a rural community and that we have a sense of community. I think my background and my experience would make me an asset to the town council, so I look forward to your support and look forward to talking with you more this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Hanson.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank Duke for moderating this auspicious event. And I'd like to thank the audience for being interested enough to come and listen to us. I'm Lee Hansen, the lower name on the board here, and I'm running for re-election to town council. The thing that I bring to the town is 10 years of experience on the P&Z board and 4 years on the town council. And with that, I believe that I have the ability to help the town finish the two main projects that the town was formed, which was roads and water. To ensure this happens, I will maintain a conservative eye on our fiscal money and our spending, so we can be sure that when we finish the water lines along the roads, we'll have some money in a reserve that we can do the roads. The roads are very crucial to the town citizens, as well as the water for their safety and welfare. I think the major thing that the town needs to work on is our planning and our prioritization. I think that what we have is a good work crew, but they are a little bit fractured in what they do. And the other part that we have to do is better communication. Communication at all levels, including between the mayor and the council and the workforce, and the town and the citizens. In a nutshell, I'm here because I want to ensure conservative budgeting and roads and water and update the road plan.
Thank you, Councilman Hanson. Appreciate your time. We'll get back to you. We're going to keep this on schedule, so thank you. All right, let's jump right into our first question tonight. Again, these were questions that were pre-submitted to us, and the candidates have seen these questions. So I think we'll start with Councilman Bailey with his first question. As Star Valley Ranch continues to grow and traffic increases, how can the town ensure the safety of pedestrians and cyclists?
Well, we can ask our, I guess I better turn this on. We can ask our sheriff for more patrols and hope he gives them to us. Not for this meeting, but I pulled the sheriff's report from June 21 to June 22. And there were not that many citations issued by the sheriff's department. So if the sheriff would come to a town council meeting, I would like to ask him why so few citations. The other thing, and this probably will not be set well with some people, but pedestrians and cyclists also need to be careful. My wife and I are bike to Europe, Austria, Germany, the Netherlands. They bike single file. Here you see a lot of side-by-side. You see people walking side-by-side. Be aware. If you see a car coming, move over. If you hear a car coming, move over it. But for the people to be aware of what traffic is on the road, and maybe we could get our sheriff to help us with that.
Thank you. Mayor Byers, same question for you in regards to the growth and traffic increases in the ranch. How can the town ensure the safety of pedestrians and cyclists?
Okay, just on a quick note, the sheriff will be at the council meeting next week, Wednesday at 6, if you'd like to talk to him about speeding. Let's see, I'll answer this question really quickly. We applied and received a grant for walking and cycling plan. And we actually have that. We approved it in 2018, and we haven't really been able to start on it. But we do have that in place, so maybe we could get some of these people off of the road and over to a path. Now, we have very few roads that are wide enough to do something like this, but we do have a plan. We know exactly where they need to go and how they're built, and that would be something that would be funded through YDOT. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that. I think the first one that I'd really like to look at is Vista, after the water project is done on Vista, from Vista West to Vista East, and we asphalt that, that would, to me, would be a perfect opportunity to put a path on that side of the road. Also, just a little bit more on speeding. Electronic signs, we have some, but we could certainly add more. Education is the big one. Most of the tickets that they do issue are people who live in town. So, and then there's a program we worked on a few years ago that's called Drive 25. So we should probably reboost that program. Thank you.
Thank you. And same question for Ms. Rock, as far as pedestrian and bicycle safety in the town.
Thank you. So I think the town should take a proactive rather than a reactive approach, especially on our high traffic roads, our arterial roads like Vista, Hardman, Cedar Creek, and the East. Some of you may have seen in the last newsletter that we had there was an update about please slow down. On Cedar Creek, I think just recently there was a fawn that was hit and killed. That's very tragic for wildlife, but all the pedestrians and cyclists that use these arterial roads, we also have to be concerned about their safety. So we might want to look at, and it sounds like perhaps the town has done this in the past, look at implementing a traffic calming program. We could have a citizens advisory group come together, or maybe even put a roads advisory board together for the town. I don't know if that's me making the feedback there or not. So that group could explore options like seasonal bollards to create a bike path on the side of the road. Maybe we could look at implementing seasonal road cushions or humps. I know perhaps that might be problematic because of some of our road surfaces, but we could certainly have that group look into it if we were to establish it. We could also look at obtaining funding, and the mayor just talked about this. The Wyoming Department of Transportation has a transportation alternatives program, and they actually have a category for pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So certainly there could be funding opportunities available. So those are just a few of my initial thoughts on how we might address pedestrian and cycling safety concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rock. And Mr. Hanson, same question.
First of all, I think we all must remember that the roads are there to convey traffic, and yet it seems like they have become the most favorite place for people to walk. You need to remember that there's a nice walking path around Fox Run Park. If you like to hike, there's a lot of nice trails for everybody. Pedestrians that choose to walk on the town roads have to be careful. They have to use good caution, not be listening on their earphones or talking on their cell phones, and make sure they're aware of the traffic and move to the side when there's traffic coming. We don't have a lot of traffic yet, but it could increase and probably will. So my sense is we need to make sure that people are aware of where they can walk without interfering or at least being in conflict with traffic. But the roads are there to convey traffic, and I believe that traffic will take priority.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. And Ms. Merrill, same question for you.
So, I believe as we're like finalizing the new water project.
Make sure your mic's on.
Oh, excuse me. I thought I was yelling. Sorry about that. Okay, as we're finalizing the water projects and the new roads are, the roads we have are being paved and covered and properly taken care of, so we're not having dangerous potholes for our cyclists and for our walkers. I think that will help as well, just taking care of that. But then having some type of like cycle track that would allow us to have space for the cyclists and then also for our walkers, having a path of some sort that could be connected to the road, so it wouldn't take up anybody's easement or anything of that sort. The transportational alternative program is a great program, but it's also something that the town council has to approve for us to go forward with funding for it and request the funding. So I would hope that if I'm on the town council, I would be able to approve that and get us even more funding to make our roads safer.
Okay, thank you. That's all of the responses for the first question tonight. Heading right into our next question, Mayor Myers will be first to answer this one. What can you do to ensure a positive working relationship between the town of Star Valley Ranch and the Star Valley Ranch Association?
I think that it's always an interesting question for me because on a day-to-day basis, our staff communicates back and forth with the Star Valley Ranch Association staff and also our Public Works Department. So they all work together extremely well. I think one of the things that we should probably do going forward is have some joint meetings. I think that would be helpful. Our community is growing so fast and changing so fast that we're probably at a place now where we definitely should do that. I always have to keep in mind that we're a government entity and we have to follow certain laws, state laws and federal laws, but that would be one thing that I could definitely say we could do together. So,
Thank you. And Ms. Roxanne, question for you in regards to the relationship between the town of Star Valley Ranch and the Star Valley Ranch Association.
Thank you. So the Star Valley Ranch Association currently has a liaison to the town council, which actually is Ms. Carolyn Packer sitting there in the audience for those of you that don't know her. Also, my understanding is the town council members have relationships with the Star Valley Ranch Association. The mayor just elaborated on some of that. I know they have personal relationships, they participate in functions, some of them are parts of the golf association. So something I was thinking of was the town council conducts 2 workshops a month in preparation for their monthly town council meeting. The Star Valley Ranch Association also conducts a monthly workshop in preparation for their monthly board meeting. It would seem to be beneficial that perhaps the town and the Star Valley Ranch Association could conduct a quarterly or maybe twice a year combined workshop where they could sit down, talk face-to-face about issues, problems, coordination that they could perhaps work on. I've always found there's no better substitute than a face-to-face meeting. I mean, Zoom and Microsoft Teams, all these electronic things are great, but seeing someone face-to-face, in my opinion, always works wonders for making progress. I would also solicit input from the new leadership over at the Star Valley Ranch Association. They recently had an election, they have a new team in there. Excuse me. So it'd be interesting to hear what their thoughts might be on this too. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Hanson, same question.
I believe that I've already established a pretty good working relationship with the Star Valley Ranch Association. I regularly attend their board meeting, and I've encouraged and was successful in getting their chairman of the board to sit in on one of our workshops when we were dealing with short-term rentals. And I've worked with them, and they have also prepared a insert for our packet that we send to or add to the short-term rental application, such that they also are advised that there is an association here. They have covenants that also have to be followed by both their guests as well as themselves. So I don't really believe that there's that much of a conflict with the town working with the association, and I will continue to go to their meetings and encourage them to come to our meetings, and if possible, we could even generate a workshop should we have a problem that we feel is a mutual problem. We understand that the association really is directed at our recreational activities for the most part, although the town worries about the trails and that sort of recreational activity. But all in all, I don't believe that we have a real conflict of interest with the association. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Merrill?
So just getting into the communication part between the town and the HOA, I think that just from hearing from our community that there definitely is a need for improvement. And there could be multiple ways of going about that. If the meetings sound great to like meet face to face, but also just finding out, because they're in contact with the same people that the town are, just hearing what people are saying and concerned about and what they're actually wanting improved on. I think if the town can communicate that to the HOA and the HOA can communicate back, more can be accomplished for our community. I also feel like supporting each other would be huge. Like even if that means collaboration, which there are laws and such that we have to like follow, that we can't combine certain funds and certain things with them. but there are a lot of things we can do together that would, I think, really make our community more happy with what they're seeing around our town.
Okay, thank you very much. And Councilman Bailey.
Well, I too believe that we have a pretty good relationship, or I do. I go to their meetings, I don't go to all, maybe 8 or 10 a year. I will volunteer and go to some of their functions, not all. I don't play golf, I don't swim. But my wife's helped with the Halloween. We go to some of their different functions. And there's not a lot of residents at their meetings to get their concerns. And when they do go, that the association seems to listen. Like Councilman Hanson said, on the short-term rentals, they did give us input. They came to our meetings, and they're getting Harold Thacker, who is a director at the association, comes to all of our council meetings. So I think we do have a good relationship, but we should also do everything we can to keep it a good relationship.
Thank you very much. Before heading into the next question, I've been asked just to remind our audience, check your cell phones if you don't mind. Just making sure they're silenced, if you would. Thank you. Okay, heading into our next question, Ms. Rock, I believe it's your turn to start off and go first here. So the question is, do you feel the town of Star Valley Ranch should pursue annexation of properties both inside and outside current town limits with the idea of protecting itself from incompatible development?
So the first thing I thought when I saw this question is, what constitutes incompatible development? I'm assuming that we're thinking the town isn't going to be surrounded by storage units and really dense townhomes. So if that's kind of what we mean by that, then my thoughts are that as far as annexation goes, I believe the statute allows for, the state statute, annexation within half a mile of the town limit. And my thought is to what end? So we annex something, and we're essentially moving the goalpost. We're making a new boundary for the town with another half a mile that could then, we could be faced with, more incompatible development. So I was just trying to figure out in my head, does annexation make sense? I'm sure on a case-by-case basis, there may be reasons why it might be a good idea, but certainly we have to follow what the statute calls for, which would be a written annexation report, public hearings, go through the whole 9 yards before we actually make a decision like that. Because also annexation impacts the town's infrastructure, so that's costs, the town's services, all of those things would then apply to the annexed property. Annexation of property within the town limits kind of makes more sense in Rue's brain anyway. I'm not sure, I don't know exactly what properties are in the town limits that aren't part of that town. I can think of one off the top of my head. And if that property, say, is in line with current town ordinances, and I'm thinking things like nuisance or animals or weeds, maybe it would make sense for annexation. And of course, that could work both ways. The town can annex, property owners can ask to become part of the town. So, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And Councilman Hanson?
Annexation within the town, all of the town is pretty much already platted, and there aren't any areas within the town that we would think about annexing. The town boundaries go around, like for example, the chiropractor's lot and the two adjoining, and also goes around the Humphreys property that's off of Clark Lane there. But with respect to annexation, Councilman Bailey and myself, we've developed an annexation ordinance, as well as should somebody want to be annexed, we have a subdivision ordinance that has some pretty strict requirements such that they would have to conform with the town in regard to our ordinances and our rules. Now, forcing annexation is one thing. I don't know whether we would want to do that just out of fear that somebody's going to develop property next to the town that we wouldn't like. Generally, they would like to be annexed because they would like our water and they would like somebody to take care of their roads. And that all costs the town money. so in order for a property to be annexed, they better bring reasons why they're going to add value to the town. And so I don't think we're gonna worry about an adverse development. We already have storage units next to our town, which weren't desirable, but they had an approved development plan from the county, and therefore they did that. But anyway, my concern, or my position on that is that we, was that the
That was your time, Rita. Okay. Let's, same question for Ms. Marilyn, relates to annexation.
I think at this time, annexation isn't really in our best interest. I think we need to protect and preserve what we already have. If we take on undeveloped land, it's just something that the town then has to worry about as far as infrastructure, maintenance, and safety. And I think we have enough that we are taking care of at this time in upgrading all of our roads and all of our water and keeping everything safe.
Thank you. And Councilman Bailey, same question for you in regards to annexation.
As what Lou said, what is incompatible? And as far as properties within the town, I looked at the zoning map, or not the zoning map, the town boundary map. I see no properties within the town that are not already part of the town. So, there again, on annexation, state statutes is pretty clear. When you annex properties, they must bring value, not a financial burden to the town, and it must be the properties you are going to annex must be for their health, safety, and welfare. The best thing we could do as a town for incompatible ordinances, or incompatible people, or subdivisions, the county commissioners approve subdivisions. The town is notified of developments, subdivisions that are updating their master plan or doing a master plan. The council needs to go to these meetings. Councilman Hanson and I spent many hours helping Aetna fight a development that was undesirable for them. We did it as citizens, and that development was turned down. But get with the county, as a citizen, as a council, go to these meetings and tell them our concerns about what we would like to see next to us.
Thank you. And Mayor Byers, same question for you with annexation.
Okay, annexations, it's a tricky business. There are very strict laws on what we can and cannot do. We did one a few years back that was kind of interesting because we have some properties on Mahogany, and there's a little teeny bit of county on the very north end of their properties. This particular resident wanted to build a garage, and so in order to build that garage, their entire property had to be in the town. So there is little annexations that come up, but the majority of them, it really has to be compatible with what we are, and it really has to be a benefit to the town. And I could say the one thing that, many things this town council has done, but they have improved our laws as far as annexation goes, protecting our water. It's not cheap if you want to buy into our water system. And so protecting our water, they've also put into law access to our roads. So we would charge them for access to our roads. So we're trying to make sure that we protect our existing town. If someone came to us with an annexation application, as a town council, it's our obligation to review that and have public meetings and make the right decision. But I think that we will do that in the future. I'm pretty strong on that.
Okay, thank you. Heading right into our next question. And I believe Councilman Hanson, it's your turn to go first here. So the question is, what do you think should be the most critical town priorities moving forward into the future?
To me, that's pretty simple. We have to finish our water project, and we have to upgrade or develop a road plan and put a good road plan into the works. And along with that, we'll have to improve our communication within within the town council, within the town. And so I believe the most important thing to do is to finish the projects that we got started in the reason that the town was formed, which is doing our roads and water. Now, can I get my minutes back?
This is a rollover minutes from the 90s. You're welcome to use your time if you want. Ms. Merrill, same question.
So obviously, infrastructure is a priority, and it always will be, even once we complete whatever water project, whatever roads we're getting done. But I also think that other priorities would be amenities, still keeping us in a rural, like, atmosphere, but things that would still provide our community with good group and recreational things to do. Another thing would be funding. I think that our community has voiced that they're not really interested in commercial property or commercial business, excuse me. So if we're not, we need to find other ways to fund the things, the projects, the events possibly, and things that we want to have in our community. Another thing that is one of my primary priorities, if I was in town council, would be safety. I think that the past 3 months has really shown to me, after listening to people from the Mid-Valley Fire and just knowing what we are experiencing as a community, that we may need to consider in the next decade getting a fire department or a quick response unit for our community to make us safer and have quicker access to fire departments, tankers, rigs, and then also hopefully the medical care as well.
Thank you. And Councilman Bailey, same question as far as what should be the most critical town priorities?
No particular order: roads, water roads, communications. Like I said, the water projects are winding down. Hopefully we can get finished in the next few years. Then build our roads, get our roads in good shape. As many citizens know and have talked to me and everybody else here, I believe, about the conditions of our roads. So for right now, put our efforts toward roads and water and communicate to the citizens why maybe we are being delayed on roads. Maybe they will accept it. I hope they will. But show them through good communications that we are listening to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Byers.
First, I think we really need to accept the fact that we're not who we were 20 years ago. I think, or even 10 years ago, our population is growing, and we still have close to 900 vacant lots that can be built on. And so I think we're close to 1,200 homes now, and we're still growing. I don't know how many permits they did today, but they did a few. So I think it's really important for people to understand. I think it's really important for us to look to our future. One of the most frustrating things that I've seen, and one of the things I'll campaign for, is to get people to run for office that live in different parts of town. So you can be represented up here. And I think that's really important. It's really important to know what goes on everywhere in town. I think the other things are definitely water. I've worked really hard to make sure that we're as close as we are to get that done. And so I'd like to be able to finish that system and work on some system upgrades with technology that are pretty amazing out there. Improve the roads, but have good planning first. Redo our road study, which is worked on now, I think. Safety on the roads have to be a big part of it. We have to protect the trail system and what we already have in place. And I think good laws in place to make sure that our properties look nice. And then the last thing is to make sure we have our good partnership with the Forest Service, the BLM, the county, and the state. They can all benefit us. We have 5 miles of our land, of our town that borders the Forest Service. That's what I think are the priorities.
Thank you, Mayor Byers.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Rock, same question for you. Most critical town priorities moving forward.
Thank you. I guess I should just throw in the town and get the bifocals. I can't read this and look at everyone out there at the same time, so I have to keep myself straight. So as most of the folks here have mentioned, the water project, the end of that is in sight. There's light at the end of the tunnel. The mayor and the city council members can talk much more in detail about that project. So I'm gonna sound a bit like a broken record. I think it's the roads. I think the roads and improving the roads is probably the next biggest priority that the town needs to tackle. The development of a road plan is critical to that. There's a 2014 master road study that was done, as the mayor mentioned. The town is in the process of updating that right now. You've got to have that update in order to design an intelligent road plan going forward. I think one of the other things, and I mentioned this, I might have mentioned this already, establishing a roads advisory board, I think would also be a key factor in building a good road plan and having good road infrastructure going forward. I think there's a lot of knowledge out in our residents that would be beneficial for the town and for the public works employees. For those public works employees, if additional training opportunities are out there that could benefit them, I think that should be explored also. And then when the road study update is completed, I think that those findings need to be shared with the town, with the residents, and to enable better understanding of the 31 miles of roads the town currently has. The more people understand about what the limitations are and what the opportunities are with what we can do to improve the roads, the better it'll be for everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, looks like, let's just do one more question from the list, and then we'll get into the questions that have been texted in from the audience. We want to get to as many of those as we can. We've had quite a few, so let's just cut the responses down to a minute at this point if we can. And so we have as much time left over towards the end. So the final question from the list today is, what would you personally do to show town residents that you value their opinion? Ms. Merrill, I'll leave it to you first.
Okay, so I think for me, just even as a citizen, that I've found that I feel more valued when I am listened to. So I would like to have more communication with our town by making myself more available, either every other week, to see what would work to actually communicate either by phone or face-to-face with our town. There would be times that they could come and actually speak specifically to me, or even open that to the rest of the town council that I was on the board or council with. Have a more user-friendly website, of course, and also have more specific agendas for our meetings. Have meetings and workshops in the evening when people that getting home from work or even just the end of their day after dinner can actually make those meetings. So maybe workshops at 7 o'clock in the evening, and then the next day have our meetings at 7 o'clock in the evening, or weekends if need be. I think all of these would help open the communication and just allow the town to have more access to me as a town council.
Thank you, Ms. Merrill. Appreciate that. Councilman Bailey, same question as far as showing you value the opinion of residents.
What I found in talking to or responding to residents is to talk to them personally. I've received some emails from residents. If I know where they live, I'll go talk to them. They appreciate it. They're surprised. I try and find out what their concerns are. The last one, I took his concerns, went and got some answers, went back to him. He wasn't real happy with the answers, but he knew that that was what going to happen. And so far, it looks like I'm scheduled to happen for it. But personal contact is, for me, and that's where my career was personal contact, is much better than emails or a phone call. They get to see your face, and I think then they see that you are useful.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mayor Byers.
Okay, to what I've done and what I will continue to promise to do is listen to the citizens. I've taken many advice from the citizens and asked in different projects that I've done. I introduced an express bill pay so you can pay your bills online. I have coffee with the mayor. That's one Monday a month, and that has been fantastic. We have an iWorks application now that will help the staff and get better communication to the employees. TextMyGov, a new webpage, enhanced employee training, and we are doing more training. I personally go out to homes when people call me about different problems. I usually will take a public works director with me so I can make sure we're all on the same page, or the SMO. And another thing is I've supported numerous projects by our town boards and volunteers, and we have a lot of them, and I really appreciate that, and I will continue to support them. Thank you.
Media Myers. Ms. Rock, same question for you.
So since I started running for town council, I've been going door to door. I'm working to get to every registered voter and every plat before the election, hopefully before the end of the month. I confess I haven't gotten to everyone yet. But that's the best way. Get out, meet people, let them have an opportunity to talk to you. You talk to them, find out what their concerns and issues are. I also, as you can see, have a website that you can visit. Residents have actually gone to the website, have contacted me through the contact form. We've exchanged emails as a result of that, back and forth to discuss their issues. I've even actually then gone and met some residents and sat down with them to kind of take that conversation even further. I'm open to talking to anybody at any time to bring your issues forward to the town, even if I don't end up being on the council. My intent would be, if I don't end up on the town council and have support and have your vote for that, I would intend to keep the website open. I would like to keep discussion going. If people have, problems or issues they'd like to bring up, I'd like to help bring those before the town, regardless of how the election comes out. The last thought is on the newsletter. With the town newsletter, since I'm going to be working to update the format and the content, I think we could benefit from having a letters to the town, or letters to the editor section, where residents could email in questions, comments, or thoughts about the town and what they're doing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rock. And Councilman Hanson.
There's really nothing better than a face-to-face conversation with a concerned citizen. And it's really important to be known. So a lot of people, once they found out that I was town councilman, they would come up to me and ask me, what about this and what about that? And it's good to have that face-to-face conversation. And if you can answer it right there on the spot, that's best. If you need to get an answer, make darn sure that you get back to them and let them know that you have followed up on their conversation or their question, and that you have now an answer. And as Councilman Bailey said, sometimes they don't like the answer, but they do respect you for coming back and getting back with them once you've found what might be the final dispensation.
Okay, thank you very much. That's going to do it for all of the pre-approved questions that the candidates have seen. I'm going to roll right into some of the questions that have been submitted by the audience via text message. I've had a lot. I'm going to just take them as they have come. I'll just go down the list, so if I don't get to your question, don't take it personal. I'm just taking them in order as they were submitted, is what I've done here. So candidates, just keep these answers to a minute once again. Try and get through as many of these as we can. Some of the questions are candidate specific, others are open to everybody. The first question that came in is specific for Mayor Byers. This one's just for you. The question is, to what degree do you use the expertise of your council? I have observed many times you haven't utilized them, i.e. Middle Branch crossing closure, approval of mobile home permits, being on plats 4 and 5, Mid-Valley fire mess, and paying an employee who was hurt his full salary while he was on workman's comp.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I think I utilize my council very well. They are, part of their job is legislation, and we work together on many projects. I don't always agree with everything that we worked on, but I do utilize their skills. I think a great deal. I'm a little surprised about that question, but I definitely feel like I do. I'm not sure what the question refers to on Middle Branch. The council took a vote to close that, and that was 4-1. So I'm not really sure what that means. Okay.
Okay. The next question is specific for Don Bailey and Lee Hansen, both for you two. The question is, both of you have a slogan of fiscal responsibility and transparent leadership. As a platitude, this sounds fine. Since both of you have been on the council for 4 years, you have prepared and voted for 4 consecutive budgets. It leads us to wonder what has been fiscally irresponsible in any of the budgets you have voted for, and what have you not been transparent about with respect to the budgets or policy. Councilman Bailey, we'll start with you, and then go to Mr. Hansen.
We have been fiscally responsible. I believe it was 2020, the budget session, WAM, the Association for Municipalities, recommended cutting budgets by 20%. Jerry Greenfield, the county treasurer, also recommended cutting budgets by 20%. Lee and I stood fast on cutting our budget in 2020 to 20% down. As it turned out, people traveled, our revenues were good. We ended up with a lot of revenue that we put in road reserve. Sorry, Mayor, but I believe you said it was one of the worst budgets you'd ever seen. But 500,000 in reserves is not bad. Every year, Lee and I strive to manage our budget and purchases to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
And I think we've done it.
Let's, same question for Councilman Hanson now.
That was in regard to fiscal responsibility and transparent leadership.
Correct.
Again, echo a little bit of what Councilman Bailey has said, that the fact that the town is in a good financial position is partially because we were careful in estimating what our revenues might be in face of a downturn in the state use of fossil fuels, kind of a war on coal. And so therefore we were conservative in what we thought the revenue was going to be. And when your revenue is estimated conservatively, that means you're conservative in spending as well. And so that is what I mean by being fiscally responsible. As far as transparent leadership, things don't happen just out of the blue. You communicate, and okay, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. The next question that was texted in this evening is for all the candidates, and I believe, Mr. Bailey, we're to you first to answer this one. Then we'll go down the row again. The question is, property taxes are up more than 45% in 2 years, increasing Star Valley Ranch revenues accordingly. By how much, and what are plans for use of revenue?
Well, we do a budget every year. If there's revenue left over, then it goes into reserve for the next year. Any extra reserve we have been putting into roads. We have some equipment we're leasing, so we're putting some in reserve there to buy that, to buy those leases out. But we try and be conservative in what we budget for, and live within that company.
Thank you. Mayor Byers.
Good question. Towns really live on sales tax. Majority of our money comes from sales tax. About 35% of it is just from the fifth penny. I believe in our budget this year we have $245,000 budgeted for property taxes. So it's not a ton of money, and about 100,000 of that or more actually will go to the fire district right now. So I'm not sure if we'll have a ton of revenue left over, but as Councilman Bailey said, we always put that extra revenue into roads most of the time. So.
Thank you. Ms. Rock, same question for you regarding property taxes and increased revenues.
So not having as much insight into the current budgeting process of the town, my expectation would be that any excess revenues that might come in from property tax or be realized from property tax will be put into management reserve if there wasn't already a need like roads or something where they could then be allocated. It is a little bit odd how municipalities get funded. It seems logical that property taxes rising would mean the town would get more money, but it doesn't necessarily work that way because everything comes back down to the town from the county and from the state. So it's a little complicated the way the revenue sources work, in my understanding. So I guess management reserve would be my response if there wasn't already a budget item that needed more funding.
Councilman Hanson.
I know that the increase in property taxes seems like, wow, that's a lot of money that the town's getting. But remember, we only get 8 mills of the property taxes. And I think I calculated that the jump in property taxes that is equated to what the town's value was, only will, especially since we're now going to pay 3 mills of that right back into the Mid-Valley Fire District, both on property taxes and on vehicle registration. The ultimate value to the town will be only about $10,000 more in our pocket from the increase in property taxes. So it's not going to be a big windfall for the town. And as we will look at spending, if we don't have anything earmarked, we'll put it into our road reserve.
Thank you. And Ms. Merrill, you as well.
I believe that putting it into infrastructure, the extra revenue, however the amount is probably a good idea, just so that our infrastructure meets the expectations of our town. But I think there are other ways for our town to get money that can hopefully be allocated to the things they want. We can look into grants and donation funding for, other amenities that we haven't really explored in the past. And it's all been about the infrastructure, which is very important. But at this point, we can start looking to get funding as a town, since we are so established. If we can decide what we want together, we can look into other opportunities.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question that was submitted did not specify who it was for. I think it may have been for some specific candidates, but I'm going to open it to everybody so you have a chance to give your opinion on this one, because I know it's a topic of conversation. So, Mayor Byers, we're going to rotate to you to start first on this one. The question is, why hasn't the public seen the final contract with Mid-Valley Fire District since there was such a deal made of it? So you can answer that question, and the other candidates, of course, can just share whatever opinion you might have on that proposal.
I think the simplest answer is that I have not received the final signed copy back from the fire district. So it's only what I've signed. They did approve it, but I do not have a final signed copy. And as soon as we do, I'd be glad to get that on the website so everyone can.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further comments on that, Ms. Rock, yourself?
The only thing I would add is that, and the town is usually pretty good about doing this, but that could get posted on the town website as soon as it's available for people to read. There was a mention of a roads and cycling plan earlier, which I didn't know the town had, and I'd be interested in taking a look at that. So, thank you.
Councilman Hanson.
All I would add to that is I had been looking for the final copy as well. I'd seen the copy that the mayor signed, but I haven't seen the final copy. And I would be very interested to see that. There was some things in there that I felt possibly would need to be changed, but I didn't know whether the Mid-Valley Fire District has fully agreed that, and why they haven't signed it yet.
Thank you. Ms. Merrill, any comment on that question?
I am as well, patiently waiting to see the contract, and I believe that our committee or our council will put it on and the mayor will put it on the website as soon as it's available. I think Mid-Valley, I hope, has every intention of signing and getting it back to us.
Okay. And Councilman Bailey.
Well, I too asked the mayor where it was, and we did receive her signed copy, not the district's copy yet. I'm hoping to see that soon. The date is coming close. Like Lee, I do have a couple of questions on that. And I was going to bring that up at our next workshop, that maybe we could have Kevin Boyles come explain some of it to us.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have hit an hour. I'm going to try and sneak in a couple more questions here. We got texted in. I had a lot of questions, so I'm trying to get in as many texted in questions as we can tonight. So I believe, Ms. Rock, we're to you to go first here with this question. And the question, this is for all the candidates, by the way. When will the town start looking for commercial business?
Well, if it's based on input to the town survey that was done last fall, I wouldn't say anytime soon. That was the lowest priority item as far as importance for residents that responded to the survey. I know there has been discussion about, what would make sense for commercial development. would there potentially be a coffee shop or a market or down the road maybe? But based on my understanding, I don't think there's a real push for a commercial development in the town at the moment, and I would be perfectly fine with that. Thank you.
Councilman Hanson?
Presently, we only have three commercial lots that are available for development. They're right next to Town Hall here to the corner. And we had at one point some interest being shown for a potential exercise center and also for maybe a mini mart and with some grocery capability and possibly a gas station. But that has gone away and because of the length of time it took to settle the agreement on the town. So I too am not too excited about having commercial development, at least not within the present boundaries of the town. The only commercial development would probably have to be done with a annexation or something contiguous to the town where it would be valuable to the town.
Thank you. Same question for you, Ms. Merrill, in regards to commercial properties.
Yep. I started on the Economic Development Board last year, and we were all gung-ho on getting things going for commercial businesses in our town, and we realized after the survey in January that there wasn't a big desire for that. And I agree, because I like our quaint rural lifestyle here, but at the same time, we do need to look forward to what we need to get more funding then into our town if it's not going to be, business.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bailey, same question.
There again, in the town right now, the only lots available for commercial developments are the 4 lots to the west of us here. There are lots across the street that are in the county that are owned by another company that are commercial. There could be commercial there. The focus group came back that commercial is not something they really desire. They didn't really specify what kind of commercial, heavy commercial. It would never happen here, but like a Walmart, or just a small. One of the things proposed down here was a physical therapy building. There's going to be 2 of them. I think they will be 5,000 square feet each. To me, that would be fine. There would be there was the mini mart or the little convenience store. That to me seemed like it might be hard to succeed.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Myers, same question for you.
I could basically reiterate exactly what Councilman Bailey and Councilman Hanson has. The only commercial property we have is just west of this building. I can't tell you that I spoke to the owner early in the summer and asked about purchasing if he would sell the property next door to us. And he said, no, that's the most valuable property we have because it's next door to Town Hall. So I don't see him selling that property anytime soon. Yes, there was quite a bit of interest in that property a few years ago, and then we kind of know what happened then with our economy. But I think that's where we're at. We did a survey clear back when Mr. Sidaway was the mayor, and it was a commercial survey. And we had a really good response. We actually did it in our town and at the RV park. And it was mostly a small grocery store, some kind of a gym type activity, and a clinic. That was another big one. So we do have some interest out there. We just don't really have the land today.
Thank you. We do want to give the candidates a chance for a closing statement tonight. So if I didn't get to your question, which there were a lot, we had a lot of questions submitted tonight. I encourage you just to reach out to the candidates. You can see most of them have ways to contact them directly, so you're welcome to do that. So we'll close with just some closing statements by the candidates. We'll give you your full 2 minutes on this if you would like to take that. So I believe Councilman Hanson, we're to you to go first. Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for moderating again. In closing, I would like to just mention that I would like to throw my support behind Councilman Bailey as he runs for mayor. I think that he has a strong leadership aspect to his thinking and his actions. And secondly, I would like to support Rosina Rock as a town councilman, and because I think she'll bring a wonderful aspect of planning as well as communication to the town, which we need and say is a very important aspect. As far as myself, I would appreciate your support and your vote. I think that my work here as a councilman for the first 4 years has been very beneficial to me and hopefully beneficial to the town. And I am recognized now as a councilman, and people do come and talk to me. And so I would like to continue that. And I appreciate your support for re-election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Merrill, your closing statement.
In closing, I would just like to say, I think up to this point, our town council has done a great job of working on our infrastructure, but I think our town can work on that and work on some other things that would bring our community together, would allow us to live fuller lives as far as outdoor rec, even dog, bag dispensers, something that would give back to our community more than, not more, the same as infrastructure. And I think it's time for us to look ahead for those things as well.
Thank you. Councilman Bailey, your closing statement.
Thank you, Lee, for your support. And I do support Lee also. Lee and I have been on the planning and zoning board. It seems like we've done everything together. We never knew each other until the planning and zoning board. We both have ideas. We both have different ideas. It's not, you're not going to get a rubber stamp from the two of us. But anyway, I would like to thank you, Duke, for coming tonight and being the moderator of the meeting. And I would like to thank everyone in the audience for their attendance. And if your question got answered, I'm glad for that. If it didn't, next time we'll answer it. Anyway, I would appreciate your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Byers.
I am here to ask for you to vote for me today. I have spent the last 10 years volunteering my time and working hard for the town. We've achieved many things together, and I think we can achieve more. My goal from day one was to finish the water, and we're so close that I would really like to be in office to finish that project. I think it's also important that I have really good relationships, both at the state level and the county level. We work together really well. When the governor sees me, he always says, "Well, how's the water going?" And that's kind of how he recognizes the town of Star Valley Ranch. I promise to listen and to act, and the one thing I promise to do is to represent everyone in town and try to convince you that you need to run for office in 2 years. I would just like to leave you with a little quote. None of us can change our yesterday, but all of us working together can change our tomorrows. Thank you so much for this opportunity to represent you as your mayor.
Thank you. And Ms. Rock, looks like you get the final word tonight.
Thank you. Thanks, Duke, for moderating. Really appreciate it. So I think you've all heard plenty about me and what I think about the various questions up to this point. So the only thing I'd like to add is to say that if I earn your support and am elected to the town council, I've made a personal choice that I would prefer not to receive any payment for attending town council meetings. I know by statute maybe that's not possible. The statute does identify a minimum of $10 being paid to a council member for attending a town council meeting. So I would opt to have the minimum payment if that can be accomplished, and I think it could be by resolution. And I would certainly want to work on that and with the incoming mayor and the new council to see if that would be a possibility. Because I would certainly like to see that money, even though maybe it wouldn't be a lot, it'd probably be a few $1,000s, could be redirected somewhere else in the town budget. We could buy more cold patch to fix potholes in the road. Maybe we could fund short-term rental monitoring program, I don't know. But it would just be something personally that I would like to do if it's possible. I also just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. It was fun to listen to your questions and hear all the answers from all the other candidates as well and from the council members. And I would like to ask for your support in November, so thanks very much.
Okay,